Now, just about everywhere I go, people stop and want to know more about pruning, right, Tracy? I'm sure you
Absolutely.
encounter the same thing. But people seem to have this fear of it, call it prunophobia, and really nothing ventured, nothing gained. There are a lot of reasons why we should be pruning.
There are, and people are afraid. I think they're afraid they're going to kill the plants. But in the case, especially with perennials, they're extremely forgiving, and pruning gives us so many choices. So I urge people to experiment, have fun, and give it a try.
Yeah, worst case scenario maybe is that you cut off the blooming opportunity.
Absolutely. You're not going to kill the plant. So many times people think they're going to kill
Right.
it, but really maybe you'll just prevent flowering that season.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have an example here of a couple wonderful plants, the poppy, for example. Now, would you prune that?
No, this is a case now, and that's a great question, Joe. So, as important to know what to prune is what not to prune. And certain plants like the annual poppy will form a beautiful seed head, so we want that to remain, and also it will self-sow, so we want that spontaneity in the garden. One of the perennials like columbine, the aquilegia, very attractive seed heads again, and I like to let that sow itself freely about the garden, so we don't prune. Also, we wouldn't prune if we want to attract birds and bring wildlife into the garden, so the ornamental seed heads is another good reason not to prune.
Great food source.
Exactly, exactly.
Now, on the other hand, you have the salvia here, and this would be a classic case of pruning that you would do.
Absolutely. This is Salvia nemorosa, the perennial salvia, and this is a plant where if we're pruning, we can actually prolong bloom, sometimes by 2 months, or we can cause a repeat of bloom. And people often ask, well, where do I cut? Where do I make the pruning cut? And so we look for the old or the dead head, and we come in and we'd cut just above the lateral 2 leaves. And so what we would have here is flowering on those 2 buds.
Okay, so these would come up and make new flower buds.
Absolutely. And then eventually, we might go down once more to these 2, just depending on how the plant is responding. And then we'll get new growth, Joe, that develops at the base. And we'll eventually take this entire plant, cut it to the base, and that'll cause a repeat bloom. And so what we're doing is we're improving the appearance, we're prolonging bloom, we're causing repeat bloom, all by proper pruning.
So Tracy, we just came off of reasons to deadhead to produce more flowering. What are we
Right.
doing here? We're about to prune these.
We're pruning asters, or we can do this with many of our autumn flowering plants, and some of the summer flowering plants is pruning prior to flowering or preemptive pruning. And we do that in an effort to reduce the height to eliminate the need for staking. I found most people don't like to stake and don't do a very good job of it. So this will eliminate that little maintenance chore, as well as in many cases it'll delay flowering. So particularly on some of the summer flowering plants, we can go in and we'll have a 2, maybe 3 week delay in flowering. So we can do that and maybe time the flowering of that perennial with a special event or a photo shoot or something in that realm, yes. So in this case, we'd come in and just go in and just cut perhaps right to here and cut back by half. And what's fun too, Joe, is on some of the outer stems, you might come in even a little lower. So here's where we might do our 2/3, pruning that a little bit lower, pruning this stem here a little lower, and bringing this one a little bit higher. And that way we get this kind of a gradation in height, and everything's not flowering at the same height. And so we'd come in these inner stems by half, and then this outer stem bringing it down maybe a little bit lower. And this will all fill in, and we won't have those ugly legs that we often see on asters in particular, where there's no leaves and it's looking very unsightly.
And you've also cut some of these back right over here.
I have, yeah.
And
so
it's
as
amazing
an example,
how vigorous these respond to that simple cut. And how long ago did you cut these, Tracy?
this was just about a week ago, and isn't that fun, Joe? Look how you can see the pruning cut and see all this new growth that's starting to come and fill in. And again, I think this gives people just a little incentive, a little inspiration, if you will, to do this pruning and to see the results. And I did this here earlier because this foxglove, this is a perennial foxglove, and it I wanted to make sure that we could see the flowering, and so the aster had gotten so large. So there's another reason to prune, is to make space for things that are, flowering or happening now in the garden. And then as this finishes, I'll deadhead it, and this aster will continue to grow, and it will fill in the space, and it'll flower later.
But we haven't talked about the spring flowering plants, and you don't necessarily use your common pruners for that, do you?
No, no. I like to use the Okatsuni head shear, so it's a really lightweight and
Tracy
sharp.
scissor hands,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yes.
Now I know why.
And so we can do this pruning, this shearing after flowering on many of the common flowering spring plants like the rock cress or candy tuft iberis or some of the pinks, the dianthus, or one that a lot of people have, which is phlox subulata or the moss phlox.
Yes.
So we can come in and really just go in and we're shearing this by a half, and we can come in and shape it at the same time. So we just come in and cut, and so you'll notice, we're not getting directly above like the lateral leaves like we talked about earlier, and that's fine because these plants will fill in quickly and they'll look beautiful the rest of the season.
So by cutting back, we're not stimulating new growth. We're not going to get new flowers because these are spring flowering and we're past that time.
Right.
We're really just creating then a more tidy plant and one that is not going to flop open like we tend to see so often where you have that big space in the center.
Right, that unsightly hole that develops that
Yeah.
we're used to seeing, particularly with that moss phlox that so many people love to grow.
Yeah.
So it's a wonderful technique and it's so fast.
Yeah.